Before we begin, I want to ask you a simple question. When was the last time someone asked you how you were doing emotionally? Not how your job is going, not how your family is doing, whether you are paying the bills, not whether you are meeting everyone else's expectations, but genuinely asked, how are you doing inside? Because many people spend years carrying emotional pain silently. They become the strong one, the responsible one, the person everyone depends on, the person who never complains, the person who keeps going no matter what. And after a while, people stop seeing the human being behind the strength. They only see the strength. What they don't see is the exhaustion, the loneliness, the emotional burden, the silent tears, the part of you that feel unseen, unheard, and unsupported. Today's video is for those people, the people who look strong on the outside but feel empty on the inside. And if that's you, I want you to know that you are not alone. Some people look strong to everyone else. They go to work, they take care of responsibilities, they help family, they support friends, they keep functioning. And because they keep functioning, nobody realizes how emotionally exhausted they truly are. Inside, they feel drained, disconnected, numb, alone. Sometimes they sit quietly and wonder, how did I become this empty? And the hardest part is, many strong people do not even allow themselves to admit they are struggling because somewhere in life they learned that survival was more important than emotions. They learned to keep going even when emotionally breaking inside. They, there are people listening to this right now who have spent years carrying emotional pain silently. People who became the strong one in the family, the responsible one, the helper, the fixer, the one everyone depends on. But nobody asks them who is supporting you emotionally. And over time, constantly carrying emotional weight without emotional safety changes a person psychologically. Who you may still function externally, but internally you begin feeling emotionally disconnected from yourself. Sometimes this emotional emptiness does not happen suddenly. It builds slowly over years, years of stress, years of emotional neglect, years of hiding pain, years of pretending to be okay. And eventually, the body keeps functioning, but the soul feels tired. Many emotionally exhausted people were not allowed to express emotions safely growing up. Maybe you had an aggressive parent. Maybe your emotions were ignored. Maybe you were criticized constantly. Maybe you learned that crying was weakness. Maybe you had to become emotionally mature too early. Some children become caretakers emotionally. Some become invisible. Some become peacekeepers. And some become strong before they were ever allowed to simply be children. So they grow into adults who struggle to rest emotionally, adults who feel guilty asking for help, adults who comfort everyone else while silently collapsing inside. And many people do not realize this. Sometimes emotional emptiness is not weakness, it is emotional survival. When a person spends years in survival mode, the nervous system adapts. I repeat, when a person spends years in survival mode, the nervous system adapts. You stop feeling fully connected to yourself. You stop feeling emotionally safe. You may even stop knowing what you truly feel. Some people describe it like this: I feel emotionally numb. Others say, I feel tired all the time. Some say, I don't feel happy anymore. And some people simply say, I don't know who I am anymore. One of the most painful things about emotional exhaustion is that high functioning people often suffer silently because society praises people who keep performing. People say, you are so strong, you handle everything so well, you always help others. But what people do not see is the emotional cost of always being strong. Sometimes strong people cry alone at night. Sometimes they feel emotionally lonely in crowded rooms. Sometimes they smile while emotionally drowning inside. And many people become so used to hiding pain, they no longer know how to ask for support. There are also people who become emotionally empty after heartbreak, betrayal, loss, or toxic relationships, especially when someone gives love, energy, patience, and emotional support for years and receives a very little emotional safety in return. Over time, the emotional system becomes exhausted. Some people become emotionally detached, some become angry, some become numb, some isolate themselves, some overwork, some emotionally shut down completely. And many people silently wonder, why can't I feel like myself anymore? The truth is, unhealed emotional pain affects the entire human being. It affects sleep, energy, relationships, motivation, self worth, and even physical health. Chronic emotional stress can create anxiety, burnout, emotional fatigue, irritability, hopelessness, and deep loneliness. And sadly, many people keep ignoring these signs because they believe they must continue being strong for everyone else. But emotional pain does not disappear simply because it is hidden. Sometimes the pain becomes heavier because it was never spoken. One thing I want people to understand is this: needing emotional support does not make you weak. Being emotionally overwhelmed does not mean you failed. And feeling emotionally exhausted after years of carrying pain is a very human response. Many people were never taught emotional regulation. Many were never taught healthy boundaries. Many were never shown emotional safety. So they learned survival instead. And survival can make a person appear strong externally while feeling completely disconnected internally. Sometimes healing begins with something very small, not fixing everything overnight, not pretending to be positive, not forcing yourself to move on. Sometimes healing begins when someone finally feels emotionally heard without judgment. When someone can finally say, I am tired, I am hurting, I don't want to carry this alone anymore, without shame, without criticism, without being dismissed. And if you relate to this video deeply, please know this. You are not weak because you are emotionally tired. You are not broken because life affected you emotionally. You are not failing because you struggle silently. Sometimes people become emotionally empty because they spend too many years emotionally surviving. But emotional exhaustion is not the end of your story. Healing is possible slowly, gently, step by step. People can reconnect with themselves again. People can learn emotional safety again. People can learn boundaries again. People can learn to stop abandoning themselves emotionally. And people can learn that their emotions matters too. If this video spoke to something you have been silently carrying, I want you to remember this. You do not need to wait until complete emotional collapse before seeking support, and you do not have to carry everything alone forever. Sometimes the strongest thing a human being can do is finally allow themselves to be emotionally sane. If this video resonated with you, please subscribe for more emotional healing and psychology based content. If this message spoke to something you have been silently carrying, my book Strong Outside, Empty Inside is available now on Amazon. You can find the link in the video description and pinned comment below. Thank you for listening and take good care of yourself.